Hi! Today we're going to answer questions about part 1 of the Caves and Cliffs update. In this video we're going to talk about blocks. Let's get to those questions.
So even though this update is being split into 2 parts, it's so big that, as you can see here, we're actually adding up to 91 new blocks to the game. And most of these will actually generate in the game as well. They're not just added to the creative inventory.
Personally, I am very excited about the powder snow block and the big drip leaf block. So the powder snow block is very unique. You can fall into it and you can sort of get lost inside, which can be really funny. And the big drip leaf block is a platforming block, so if you stand on top of it, it will tilt and you will fall down as well, which I think can create some hilarious situations.
So while the larger caves you may have seen in the snapshots aren't coming until part 2, there are still some significant changes to the caves in part 1.
In the new caves, we will have pointed dripstone and dripstone blocks generating. We will also see clusters of amethysts generating, as well as glow lichen, who is going to lit up the caves and make them brighter than before.
Deep slate is found in the lowest parts of the world next to bedrock, and you can find deep slate versions of all the ores sometimes generating in them.
Mine shafts will also be updated and will now be hanging from chains and be built on top of support pillars.
And finally, in these mine shafts you might find a new ore called copper. So one of the biggest changes that we're actually doing to ores in this update is, first of all, we've actually changed all the textures. And this was a very important change for accessibility. Some colorblind users couldn't actually tell the difference between some of the ores with the previous textures. What I like about this change, apart from the accessibility, is it also gives a lot of character to each of the new ores, which is really good in my opinion. On top of that, we're also making a big change to all of the smeltable ores, such as iron, copper and gold. This change is that it will actually drop raw versions of the ore as items. And one of the biggest implications of this change is the fortune enchantment will actually work on iron and gold now, which means that you can get a lot more resources than you used to.
There are a lot of things that I feel is very exciting about copper. Starting off with the lightning rod. This is an item that you can craft that can be placed that will attract lightning. For me this is extra exciting because my house very often burns down when struck by lightning, so now I have a way to prevent that from happening. Another exciting thing about copper is the oxidization properties of copper. So copper is going to be aging over time and change the color of the block. And that will make the world feel more evolving, which I think is really cool.
Another new item you can craft with copper is the spyglass. This allows you to look at anything closer up in the distance. So in order to get some of the Lush Caves blocks, you can actually find moss in shipwreck chests, and through that you can bone meal that moss in order to get some of the plants from the Lush Caves growing on top. Along with this, you can also get glowberries from mineshaft chests, and this allows you to place the cave vines that are growing in the Lush Caves. If you get an azalea from bone mealing some moss, you can actually also bone meal that azalea in order to get rooted dirt underneath. Along with this, if there are any items that you want from the biomes that aren't accessible yet, you can go to the Wandering Trader in order to get some of these items.
For me, the most fun part was probably working with powder snow block, because it has so many interesting features. You can fall down in it and hide in it, and I just think it's an awesome block.
My favourite part about working on part 1 with the blocks was actually the changes to the ores. The fact that now it drops raw ore items instead of just the blocks themselves is a really exciting change. This is something that has always been in the game, the fact that it drops the original ore block. We're actually changing it this time, and it's an exciting change. It's very different. It's really been a pleasure to work on this update, and we really can't wait to see all of your reactions. Thanks for watching.